evening, it is such a privilege and joy to invite our, very, very amazing speaker to you this evening. He is none other than the founder and managing director of Farm Fresh Berhad, right? It's just so amazing to have him here. Anyway, before I ask him to come on stage, just a little bit about Mr. Loi Tuan Ee, who is the managing director and also the founder of Farm Fresh. 13 years ago, he took this leap of faith to go into agriculture, alright, and in the food production business after spending 20 years in the food packaging business. Alright, and tonight we're just also going to hear him talk about as any other business, it has its setbacks, its difficulties, and challenges. And tonight we're going to hear him how his Christian faith, his strong Christian faith has actually carried him through all these challenges. Farm Fresh is now a household name in Malaysia, right? Who likes Farm Fresh? Can you put your hands up? Yeah, I'm sure if you open your fridges in Malaysia, you will find Farm Fresh in your fridge, right? So today, Farm Fresh is one of Malaysia's household name, and it's also one of the largest segment in the ready-to-drink milk in the dairy products in Malaysia. Isn't it wonderful, And Farm Fresh actually operates from what you call that grass, alright, to glass concept, where they actually, their diverse business activities ranges from farming, manufacturing, to the distribution of the dairy milk products, including plant-based products, alright? And today, I stand here as a proud Malaysian, alright, to really introduce, Farm Fresh. They have won countless awards and certification. Do you know that Farm Fresh in Malaysia are the first in Asia to receive the certified humane raised and handled certification, which means that the dairy products that comes from their farm actually meet all the specific categories and needs that they actually treated their cows with, in a humane treatment. You know why? The company's philosophy is that happy cows. What does happy cows do? Happy cows produce milk, right? The best milk in town, isn't it? Alright, that's their philosophy. And on top of that, they have been awarded countless awards. They've actually won the Asia Inclusive Business Award in 2020, ACES Award for Asia's Best Performing Companies in 2021, and not only that, there are 2 awards in the Putra Brand Awards in 2022, which it comprises of Putra Most Enterprising Brand of the Year and Platinum in the Dairy Beverage category. It's amazing, isn't it? Right? For our homegrown brand to achieve where they are right now. So without further ado, can we put our hand, a water hand, welcome, welcome. And do a big hand to Mr. Loi. Good evening, Mr. Loi. Again, how has your day been?
A little busy, but it's okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here.
It's such a privilege to have you here, Yeah, it is actually, and I was telling Sue that I'm so excited, to actually meet you and really see you face to face after drinking Farm Fresh for 13 years. Isn't it, alright? Now you finally get to see Mr. Loi, alright, face to face. So, Mr. Loi, I could start by you telling us of a little bit of your early life, a bit of your background.
Guys, I think probably this is I have attended many sharing and speeches. Probably this is my first church Christian community sharing. So I think I try to do what I can. And hopefully I told Pastor Chiu to hold me in prayer. I say it's a big night for me. So please, so I will be able to share. Hopefully, the God's will be able to pass me down, to share all the messages that I wanted to share my journey. Now, to begin with, I'm a Perak boy from a small town in Sitiawan. I think our families, my mom used to be a very devoted Buddhist. So in other words, our family is a born-again Christian. I'm glad that that happened. When we were young, I remember after when I left school and things like that, every Chinese New Year I go back, Lumut there got one very old big temple, on the 30th Choyat, my mom would burn incense, I will go to burn the big justice and things like that. So we have done that for a long, long time. So thank God, I think my sister, I got two younger sisters, they were Christian, so they accepted Christ. And then for some reason over the years, my mom is a very, very tough lady as well, right? So I'm not sure how did, my sister, so thank God, the church is hard, and then she then become a Christian. So when that happened, he said, when I was young, we all go back to kampong every year, right? So instead of going to temple, now I go to church. So I think that was the beginning of how the family accepted Christ, and then my brothers and so on and so forth.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's a wonderful place where your hometown is. But after spending 20 years, right, in the packaging industry, when Farm Fresh actually hit the shelf, my daughter and myself was the first thing that we saw, we were attracted, wow, Farm Fresh, where does this come from? And then when we turned it around and saw, wow, it's made from Malaysia, we were immediate fans, even up to today. Alright, but but looking back, right, after 13 years, thinking about it is really mind-boggling for you to actually take this leap of faith, right? Taking on the big boys like Nestle and even Dutch lady, I mean, yeah, why, from packaging industry to agricultural and food production business?
Now, I think this one, as you rightly pointed out, for 20 years, I worked for the Tan family in the packaging industry. So until 03, I think, we actually got the company listed, and 05 we migrated to main board. That was the time that I think that, it's time for me to move on. And I think I was maybe 40 odd years old then. There's the reason that why I wanted to move on is that, first is that, I was a small shareholder there, with a fraction of share. And then second thing is also, I think that because I'm involved in business development, or rather sales and marketing. And I think towards the late 90s and early 2000s, it's getting very tough because a lot of electronic companies are moving out. So you lose customer, right? Despite you have good relationship that you build with them, you still lose them. So I felt that quite hard to sustain. And then I wanted to do something like food production, something to do with food agricultures and things like that. And that is how, they eventually make the decisions, okay, time to move on. I sold my share, I took the money and I reinvested into it. So that's how I wanted to. I was quite locked in the sense that I wanted to be in food production, agriculture with food production. That I believe that if you build up the business, you have a lot of customer, everybody consume your product, for example, it's become very evergreen. That was at the back of my mind then.
How do you come across agriculture and food production? I mean, packaging business, is really different from agriculture, right? Were you involved in agriculture before then?
No, I didn't, but then because we are kampong boy, right, agriculture wasn't something that is new to me. My dad used to, they are a rubber tapper, right, and then he also planted tapioca and things like that. So it's something that when I was young, I did exposed to that, right, so it is not something that we never seen something else. So when I left, actually, I set out to do, because it was something new to me as well, I wanted to try. So we have the livestock business, which is the goat. We planted dragon fruits, some orchards, and then we also, go into fish business and things like that. So there were a few categories that we started to work with, and that's how we actually made it up.
How do you actually source for the cows? I mean, did you happen to, have some friends over in Australia, bring over the Jersey cows? How do you do that, It's just amazing thinking about it.
I think that the cow business actually, if I want to share, that it actually comes the later part of our agri investment. Maybe if I can share in terms of challenges that I go through, right, as to how do we lead into the baby cow. So I think, how it all started, as I say, that, when I left the company, I thought, that these are the few business that which I want to try. Now, apparently, not all turns out well, right? The fish was crashing, dragon fruit was hit by the plagues and things like that. So, and the food is doing fine. So there were a lot of challenges as I built the business. So I think I'm actually into a very, very trying times whereby, I have limited capitals with what I have earlier on. Now I'm putting it all in again. When there's two section of it is not doing well, particularly relating to our dragon fruit, where the disease like the plant and everything was. So we used to generate like 200,000 income out of the fruits that we harvested from dragon fruit. Now you're going downhill, right? So I think that was the time that I started to get a bit worried that things that may not go right. And I remember this very vividly in one of the Sunday church service that I went. That morning, the pastor was sharing, and then when he goes on to share Proverbs 19:21, man's hearts you have a lot of plan. Remember, it's only the plan of God shall prevail. I literally has a goosebump. I felt that God is speaking to me directly to say that, hey Loi, whatever you want to do, please bear in mind it has to be my plan rather than you think that you want to do, So I felt terrible. I know it's going to have problem already. So for some reason I knew that God speaking to me. So I got worried, but nothing much I can do in the coming months. Over the next 6 to 9 months, the dragon fruit start to have a problem, like fish scratches and things like so. That really, sent the chill to my spine. I begin to realize the best of men, right, is still the best of you. That's about it. But if the God is not you, you can try as hard as you can, so this is all the challenge. So I think that was the time I was really taken back. I realized that, hey, I should pray more on things that, sometimes, we tend to think that we want to plan what we do, man's best, right? We just plan and then you just do it, right? So I think that was the lesson number 1 that I learned, that how I should now fall back to the God, to ask Him for wisdom, to actually fall back to Him instead of, and I've seen that, there are many times, sometimes when things don't go well, particularly some of this, they blame everybody, including the God. Why me? Why this thing hit me, right? So I think instead of me having that kind of feeling, I actually felt that, I probably resented myself for overconfidence, right? That you think that you're smart, but hey, look, you are not, right? So this is where I think that was a lesson number 1 that I learned in terms of humility, in terms of how did you actually have to be more reliant on God rather than your own wisdom.
I truly agree with you that, man, because best man is man at best, right? We truly need our good, loving God to be the CEO, whatever business we're in.
Agree.
How do you manage? I mean, you have growing children then, right? And you have a demanding business with all its setbacks and challenges, and also raising up your family with godly values. How do you balance your work, raising up your family? How do you do that? So would you be able to share with us?
Yeah, I think this is something that I remember during the early years. So probably I think this is something that there is a startup or anyone that bring effort to build your business. I think, Proverbs 14:23, probably you have to learn that, the God say that, hard work rewards you. If you just mere speech, you get poverty. Now, this is something that I think hard work, if you choose to go on to take a path being an entrepreneur, right, there is no shortcut. It's very demanding and you have to put in the hours, right? Of course, we have to be balanced, whatever we can do, to balance between our family life and our business. But I think the hours that's demanding, particularly when you want to build a business, is something that sometimes it's not up to you, right? Competitions are very strong, competitors are launching new product, you have to react. So I think that's one thing. But in my case, I think between Monday to Friday or sometimes stretches to Saturday, I tend to put in a lot of hours. But I try to make it a point that Sunday is the day that, Sabbath, that I want to take a rest, spend time, either you go to church or, you spend time with your kids and meal and things like that. So I think that is what I felt. And I think in terms of wisdom, to your children, I think we all have to be able to live by example. That how you actually, and everyone, every parent would love to bring up God-loving families, right? So this is something that it's a continuous thing, a lot of prayer, holding your kids, in your prayer to ensure that they'll grow up well and be a godly person, right? Yeah.
That's what they did. I can see Isaac over there, a fine young man, Thank you. And now we know that Proverbs is one of your favorite books, actually.
I do read here and there, whatever that I think that I needed, yes. But I still think that, faith, it is just so important, right? Over the years, I think we have a lot of challenges in our business, right? Especially when I first started the business, it wasn't going well, right? And then you have a cash flow problem, when all your produce, hit by the disease and the plants and things. So it's very, very worrisome. We still wanted to go ahead, In fact, that lesson actually taught me, that humility. So in most of the major meetings today, then, I start to pray. I start to pray before I go into the meeting. If there's any project that I wanted, I pray for it. And I come to such a peace with myself that, through that lesson of 1921, I may want something that very, very badly. I think that this is really, really good to a company. I try very hard, get the whole thing, put in the effort, come up with the best paper, and you pitch. But today, if I don't get the business, if I don't get what I wanted, for example, I'm at such a peace because I felt that, if the God is not revealed this to me, no big deal, right? He may have some other plan for me, right? So I will be very gracefully walk away, and move on and focus on other thing. Maybe the earlier days, right? No one except that you wanted something very bad. You wanted this project, or you wanted whatever you wanted to win, for example, right? That you try very, very hard. So when you don't get it, you tend to you've got a lot of emotion to it. So I think that is how actually over the years, I think in my Christian life journey, I have come to accept some of those verses that I have to live by with. And that will become my guiding principles in terms of how I look at things and how I should behave with myself.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Looking at your products, first product that I saw was this Farm Fresh, this packaging. That was the first product. But then over 13 years, there were so many SKUs that came out, like your Yara brand, right? Yara, and also yogurt category, And you have actually grown into a homegrown brand and Malaysia's #1 fresh milk brand in Malaysia. So looking at your SKUs, and the fact that you have come so far, what makes you stand out from your other competitors? Be able to share with us,
I don't know, maybe my CEO is Jesus Christ, so... So I do pray, for example, when we're up against all these giants, has been here for the last 15 years, 8 years, and things like that. And I remember my sister, she was saying, "Oh, you sure not? They want to do this cow's milk, fresh milk." I said, look at the shelf, it's packed with product, and I can't even pick which one I want to choose. It's spoiled with the choice with all the top brand, and now you have this little bottle. Put 2 bottles on the shelf. I was consciously going to the supermarket looking for young milk, and I can't find it as well, right? I think obviously, that it wasn't an easy task. It wasn't easy. It required a lot of faith, And I remember that the first farm that we actually afford, which is in Kota Tinggi, from main road is about 14 kilometers into our farm. It's an ex-abandoned kind of mining land, right? It's cheap. That's the only land I can afford, because from when I wanted to do dairy cows, we needed a bigger land. So that kind of land only we can afford, right? So I remember that in 14 kilometers in no 3G that time. Now not the 5G. Then was 3G. Don't you have 3Gs? Like 15-minute ride. I used to drive myself. Go in, go out. Somehow. Maybe 20 minutes, right? So that was a time that it was when we started to build the business. It's not that easy, right? So every day I just pray my way in, finish work, I pray my way out, So every day I just do that again and again, So someday if I were to come up on the farm early, I would stop by in Aeon Kebrau, to spend a couple of hours promoting the meal, trying to get the auntie to try, uncle to try, So the wood also a bit dirty, So much so, that. So the early days, I think it's a lot of challenges, right? But thank God, that no one will accept the fact that that today, homeboy coming out from Peru started with 60 cow, and I was facing a lot of challenge. I couldn't even raise money. You go to the bank, You want to borrow from the bank, you buy land, you do oil palm, probably they will lend you the money, right? If you go and talk to the bank and you say that you want to buy lembu, right? Cow, they say, are you out of your mind or what, right? It's so hard, right? And I tell the Lord, I say, look, now I have got all this opportunity. Next thing, I needed money, right? Just pray, and thank God, I have this khazana coming in, to back us, and I know, of course, the pitch to khazana wasn't easy as well. Going to Singapore to meet up with the managers and all this, the directors and all this, all just pray, I'm meeting this guy, please make sure I got his favor, please get your hand out. You just pray, everything also you pray, you just pray in, pray out, all these other things. So I think thank God it was really that journeys that, I'm so reliant on Him, that, that all things, fall into place. So today, if let's say, if you were to think back, if 13 years ago I tell you that I'll build a company worth more than Dutch lady in Malaysia, right? You say, hey, you must be having an air in your brain or what, so things like that, right? So today, so we built a company that is more valuable even than Dutch lady, that's been here for the last 60, 70 years. I think faith does play a role, and fervent prayer is very, very important. Yeah.
Truly through His grit and perseverance, even though, people say that, hey, are you sure, even go into real business? Are you sure you get cows from, overseas? Truly it's an amazing journey, to lead you where you are. I'd like to open to the floor for any questions, anyone have any questions?
If I may, I wanted to share this again. There's another things that I wanted to share. I think in the past, I have a stage fright. I can't talk when I go to the stage. I just go blank, right?
So amazing here.
so over the years, I think I remember during my very, very challenging time, period. So in one of the cell group, right? This little girl by the name of Prissy, right? Come over, cell group at night. They lay hands on my shoulder. They say, Uncle Loi, the God has got a word for you. I said, oh, that's good. Actually speak to me, say, at that time, I think we were actually having a cash flow problem, challenging and things like that, So she then, because I short of money, right, so she said that the Lord said that He has prospered you once and He will prosper you again. Wow, I was like so comforted, right, it's like, you are when you are really, really tough, cash flow was problems, and you think that you might not have enough runway to burn your cash. You have limited cash available, to actually. So those are the words that comes in sometimes. It really encourages me. And so, and that was in maybe 2011, 2012, right? I was during the very tough time, right? So then on 2012, I got khazana funding. Things are start coming to looking good. Finally I have enough money that I buy more cows. I can invest on a factory. So that was in 2012. I remember we were doing like maybe 9 million business a year, doing 9 million business a year. And fast track, 5 years later, 2016, we almost grown 10 times from there, right? We grown 10 times. And I remember after 9 years, instead of doing 9 million a year, we are doing 9 millions a week. That much we have grown, right? So what happened is that in 2016, as things was going good, I know that I'm going to go, someday I will be here to share my Christian faith and journey to all the brothers and sisters and all this. Now, towards the end of the year, I think October, November, Alice ran into a problem, right? So we had a stomach problem, bloated and things like that. The thing wasn't going well with her. I remember she was in pain, called me, said, my stomach hurts, right? And things like that. So I had a sense that, things are really not looking good. So she came back. The first thing we did, we never go to Singapore, do a colonoscopy and go to see 2 specialists, and unfortunately, result wasn't encouraging. So you have 2 specialists in Singapore to say that, probably she has stage 2 or stage 3 cancer, right? And that was 2016, and things was start to go well. Now, I just tell myself, I say, we were so devastated, right? I find that this really, really can't be true, right? How can the God redeem me from my difficulties and give me this opportunity? And I tell him that, I want to share all this testimony in your circle, how much you have done for me. Right? I say, hey, now take Alice away. So I say, it's not good again. So I think we go through a very tough period for the 2-3 weeks. I think the following weeks on 11th of November, 2016, she did a surgery. I think she cut up this big. The tumors are very, very huge. That's why she get all the stomach bloated, right? So the doctor, after the surgery, I still asked her, how does it look like? Oh, no, it doesn't look good. So I say, I'll be kind of like, that accepted it, oh my God, this is going to happen, right? So I just keep on praying. I mean, that few weeks I really pray, I just pray and pray and pray. I say, Lord, how are you going to take her away? If you're going to take her away, then you want me to go to your circuit to share, and my wife you have taken away. Then I say, how? So I just pray and pray and pray, and then finally, the day, about a week later after the surgery, I think 8 or 9 days later, the doctor called. I pick up the phone. I was expecting the worst, that I'm prepared for that, that stage 2 or stage 3, And guess what? The doctor said that, Mr. Loi, I think come back is non-malignant. So I said, wow, non-malignant. I said, doctor, what does that mean? Mean non-cancerous, is it? He said, yeah, non-cancerous. Oh my God! I said, this is shocking, man. So immediately call Alice and say, oh my God, it is not cancerous. It's just tumor. So all these miracles happen in my life. I think this is where I felt that sometimes you not only pray, but you have to pray with a lot of faith and convictions about it. Yeah. At least you might understand.
Thanks for sharing. It's amazing that you're here. You are a testimony to how good our God is. It's really heart-wrenching when we hear our loved ones going through, sickness and everything. But it's truly when we surrender everything to God, He will grant us a miracle.
Exactly. I think that is where I used to tell my kids, that you have the Psalm 56.3. If you scared, we were very scared, and you have to place your trust in the Lord. That I think you just go to that kind of belief that that the Lord is there for you. You just have to pray.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, and to give Him all the glory. Amazing. Yeah, again, I would like to open up to the floor right now. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Loi?
Hi, good evening. May I know how do you get the first capital fund to kickstart the dairy business?
Yeah, the original one is basically is from the former company that I sold long my Century Bond share and then use that money to actually to buy the land and go into the agri business. So that was only the base. I started out with the 500 acres fund. So as I say that at the end of the day I ended up I own the land. I got no more money to buy cow already, right? So this is where as I say that by then I just pray. I say, hey, God, I need more funding. And please reveal that to me since the banks can't blame the bank, right? With all the NFC scandal, anyone you talk about cow, everybody will just run away, politicians, So I remember I was in Mindin promoting, Asmi Diong. Just one guy come over, ini susu NFC, bukan boss, ini bukan NFC, kita Farm Fresh, bukan NFC, It was so taboo then, anything because of the scandals, right? So the funding wasn't easy at that point of time.
Easy to convince people that this is good milk, totally different from whatever scandals. Any other questions from the floor? Gentleman from the back.
Good evening. My name is Ben. Mr. Loi, actually my friend wanted to come, but then he fell down yesterday, so he injured his elbow. He's in the F&B line, and then so he wanted to ask how do you handle cash flow problem? Like supplier wanted to pay cash upfront, so how to survive their cash flow.
For me, I think in business, integrity is very important. How do you actually build up the trust by the people and things like that? Whether you're in F&B business or you're in any other business, right? I think a business reputation is very important, and you just have to be able to build it up in such a way that people know that you are a reliable businessman, not a hit and run or things like that. So I think in terms of cash flow planning, I think it's very much depends on what kind of business that you want to go in. Like my case, I almost ran into a problem as well as I said earlier, right? If you go into a business whereby it does burn cash, and you have to make sure that you have sufficient cash to burn, until the runway, you take it off. The worst thing that can happen is that some business take 2 years, 3 years to reach there. But halfway through, if you're running out of cash and if you can't get the funding, even though the business may have the potential today, they are just about to gain traction and you're gone broke, right? So I think this is something, cash flow planning is very subjective, depends on every type of business that you're in, you have to be very careful with that. With regards to supplier, I think it is very much your reputations that you have to be people able to trust you. Otherwise, nobody want to give you credit. Ask you, before they send the goods to you, they ask you to bank in the money and over and over again. Right? Maybe to us, as I feel that the initial deal, maybe 1 or 2 cash transaction you pay before delivery, but you have to build up the relationship that people trust you. That then I can send you the goods if I can collect from you next month. Right? So that's very important.
That's awesome. I mean, Farm Fresh, Mr. Loi, Farm Fresh is a local, homegrown company. How has it, contribute to the local farmers, to the local community? Has it helped them in any way?
Yeah, of course. I think I remember when I first started this dairy company, right? You have to bear in mind, all these multinational companies has been here for the longest time, right? Whether it's the Dutch lady or Berhad or even Nestle. I think to them, their agenda is very, very different. Why would I want to encourage a bigger local dairy productions? To them, importing milk powder from their own country, from Holland, so must not, using the milk powder, make into a milk and shove it to you, treat it like a fresh milk chilled, right? They are making a lot more money, right? So if they were to build up the farming industry, and then what would be their role, right? For example, if you look at Dutch lady, their shareholders are all the farmers back in Holland. So how would they want to promote you, right? So this was the challenge, I think, before we came in the industry, the milk that this big company pay to our farmers are maybe between 120 to 140 per liter, because that's basically the milk powder price. To give you an understanding, right? So this is how they have always benchmarked it. But at that price, no dairy farmer can actually make serious money or another decent money, right? So left behind are those Indian families, the Punjabi families, all this. And they do it for the love of cow, right? Because they worship them. So they don't mind, right? Even I don't make money, I'm happy because I love my cow. But all the other farmers are actually finding economically it's just not viable. So when we first started, I have my own dairy farm. I know what is the cost of production per liters, what kind of price that the farmer can. If you want them to send you the milk, right? You have to pay them fairly. So I think we started then with almost 240 ringgit more than the competitor. So from there on, it started to gain traction. We procure more and more milk from the farmers. And then today, we are paying 350 a liters, right? So you can imagine, if you're a small farmer having 10 cows, 15 cows, one day give you 50 liters or 80 liters, 1 month, 4,000 liters, right? So this is where that even with 1 ringgit difference, that is life changing. It's very, very impactful. Yeah. So this is where I think in terms of building the business, we also have there's a lot of home dealers. Right? We have a lot of home dealers, the Malay ladies and all these are housewives and all these are distributing our product, making 800, 1,000, 2,000 ringgit a month. But I think we got thousands of them. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, last week, we had a big event in Putrajaya Convention that we actually brought in about maybe 400-500 of them to actually celebrate them. And then we actually get Minister of Education, YB Pandelina were there, Education, KSU, Dato' Indra, everybody was there. We are also a main beneficiary for Milk for School program as well. We supply maybe about 1 year, 100 million ringgit worth of milk to the school under the government contract. And we gave it to all these home dealers. So if let's say if you're in one region, we allocate 40 schools to you, 40 schools to 30 schools, depends on the region. And then by distributing the milk to the school, they also make some money. And that's how, that this particular public spending has such a true effect, across all the households.
I remember reading one of your interviews, and you mentioned that you saw a comment on Facebook, right? That this, I'm not sure it's a lady or gentleman, right? Malay lady who thank you for Farm Fresh. And because of Farm Fresh, she's able to make a living and able to, feed the children, basically, put food on the table. So, it's just thinking about Farm Fresh, able to help the local community is just so amazing.
There's one Facebook posting in the early, one Malay lady posting a new pair of shoes, posting a new school bag. And then she then go, Alhamdulillah, thank God, that through this simple, honest business distributing Farm Fresh milk, Mama can afford this new shoe and new bag. So it's very touching, and that's why I find that over the years when we grow our business, we also want to make sure that we want to do well by doing good. It's not that only you make the money. What about other people within your communities or people that are living downstream of you, you pollute all the waters and all this sort of thing. I think that sense of simple business principle or philosophy that yes, I want to do well, but by doing good as well, right? Yes, that's very important.
That's amazing. Just along your journey, we also caught news which garnered a lot of interest, that you actually purchased 65% of Inside Scoop, the ice cream brand that I love too, So, Farm Fresh actually owns 65% stake of Inside Scoop, So do go to Inside Scoop and support them. Yeah, I mean, what motivated you to purchase a stake, and what's the synergy between Farm Fresh and Inside Scoop?
Yeah, I think for Farm Fresh, we are basically a dairy company, right? So we started with chilled product, the fresh milk, and then the yogurt, the chocolate milk, etc. And then from there we move on to UHT milk, for example, which is the same product but it's actually in an ambient format. And then last year we also launched our powder category, the Farm Fresh Pro baby powders milk. Last month we launched our chocolate, which is the Milo version, right? So those are the areas that we call it the category expansion. We continue to add more, and our team will be a bit innovative and also take the opportunities, to actually grow the market. Now, ice cream is something that we also wanted to do. In fact, in our prospectus, when we go IPO, we can tell them that and stack, we will build our ice cream plant. So Edmund and Sylvie is a wonderful couple, right? And they're very, very talented. Edmund is the IP investment banker who make very, very smart guy. Sylvie is a Great Eastern actuaries, a very, very sharp mind as well. So this couple have built a wonderful business, right? So when I wanted to expand, I think, of course, Farm Fresh can also start on all of our own, but it's going to be very, very slow, right? So there was these opportunities when Edmund approached me. So I said, Loi, why don't you look at it? And that's how we actually started. So today, just last month, we also launched our CBG ice cream, which is like a magnum, the magnum type. The response has been very, very encouraging. Everybody say very, very sedap. So I have just last Friday I hosted EPF, a whole bunch of them, including the CIO Tuan Ee, they all were down. So after the lunch we also served them the ice cream. They just love it, right? So I think it's about teamwork as well. Inside School has a great brand, great quality product. So that kind of like the synergies that which I'm looking at to find partners that add value. It kind of just cut short my journey than to go down to ground zero to build all over again. Yeah.
Sense. Can we get it from a retail shops, or do we have to go to Inside School?
Edmund, okay. So Edmund is very used to. I used to joke with him, hey, Joey, you do ice cream that masak nasi biryani because they are artisanal, very one batch maybe 80 kilos, 100. I said, Edmund, I understand that. I said, but so the fund manager got so much expectation on us, they just couldn't wait, right? I said, when your CBG ice cream? I said, coming soon. So we couldn't wait for NSTAC to be ready, because NSTAC will only be ready by early next year. So by the time when they put in the line, right, the farm manager will probably get angry with us. So they say, why don't we go to Taiping first? So we have a factory, we have a big farm in Taiping, then we also have a factory. So we got space. So for now, we actually order the equipment, put in Taiping first, Jalan first, and then while waiting for our NSTAC plant to be ready, and then eventually we can relocate. So now we come up with that, and we just can't keep up. So Edmund maybe not used to the kind of speed of production, very fast. So he's adjusting to it. So now, at the moment, we have not gone into giant grocer or the main modern trade, because we are pipe filling about 2,000 over Speedmart 99. So we are rolling out. So maybe next month, in the next 1 or 2 weeks, you will find it all the Speedmart 99.
Up for it. Right, go try the ice creams.
Sedap, really sedap.
Sedap, really sedap. What flavor is that? Durian flavor?
No. We do Magnum, we do chocolate, we do chocolate, and then we do the vanilla with the nuts, and then we're gonna come up with a caramel. So basically the Magnum category, and then end of the year we got another line we're installing now. We're gonna have the Solero, the lime, and then the field and then the cone as well.
You just mentioned also the IPO, right? And I think it was a few years back you raised about 1.8 over billion. So how has it changed and impacted your company?
I think for a company, obviously that raise itself actually gave us a lot more firepower, so to speak, right? So you raise a few hundred million for the company, and till now we are still using the money to expand. In fact, EPF visit, they wanted more share as well, so we are looking at probably another placement to them and things like that. So I'm of the view that the next few years market may not be very good, although we still got a couple hundred million cash in the company, but I still feel that it's better to build up some more chest in case if the markets are going bad over the next few years, that you don't want to be overgeared by yourself. So thank God, Farm Fresh, when we got listed, I think the investment communities, we are very well received by them in terms of how our stocks are very, very well followed. Although I think last year we have 2 quarters that we don't do well because the expectation of us is very, very high. But since then, the market our profitability have recovered. Now the market have read us back, because I think at that point of time, it's very hard to convince this fund managers sometimes to give them the impression that I say, hey, this is a short-term problem, like 1 or 2 quarters, ringgit depreciated, Ukraine war hit off, all the ingredient price shoot up. So we prihatin a bit lah, right? You have 10% of cost impact, maybe you pass 5% to your customer, you keep the 5% of burden. So it's not that we are losing money, not that we bleed, we just make less. But capital market being capital market, that's how they behave. So, but I think now things are a lot more normalized. Sequentially, almost every other quarters now we're doing much stronger result.
Just the last 2 questions. How do you see Farm Fresh growing in the future? And where do you want to bring it to? I know that Farm Fresh has spread to Southeast Asia already. So yeah, what to the future?
We are in Philippines. In fact, Philippine factory, we are in the midst of commissioning now. We have gotten most of the application. In fact, we already started selling our product from Malaysia into Philippines, and now waiting for the Philippine production to commence this anytime this 1 or 2 weeks, and then going to the supermarket, right? How would I look at Farm Fresh? I think at least sometimes we always say, hey, not enough, not enough,
Not enough of that.
You want to push. Honestly, if you ask me, right, I think from the company standpoint, I think doing business, right, you just have to, because your competitors are big, all these are giant, right? You just have to go on to continue to drive the business. Monetarily, if you ask me, is it more money that incentivize me or motivate me? I think probably not. I mean, at some point of life, when you earn enough, you know that is enough is enough. So not so much for the monetary gain, that how I keep myself motivated. But I think in the business competition, beating competition, be able to hit the part of Nestle or Dutch Lady, oh, that's good. But I think that kind of thing that I still find that I will continue to drive the business and then be innovative, coming out with good product and continue to gain market share. So I think that is the life of business. You have to just keep moving.
Thank you. And last, coming this far, what legacy do you want to leave personally and also professionally? After coming this thus far, Mr. Loi?
I don't really think much about legacy, right? In business, you build a business, you happen, that this is the industry you're in, you're able to seize the opportunities. And at a point of time, there wasn't much fresh milk in the supermarket, and you capitalize on it and you continue to build a brand. I think building a great brand equities are very, very important, because one reason that why Farm Fresh is well followed by all the fund managers is because we have a very, very strong brand equity. We're number 1 in Malaysia, local champion, the brands are well loved, So I think building a brand love is very, very important. So I wish that, I think there are questions say, legacy for me, maybe no, but I hope that, Farm Fresh brand continue to be well loved by the customer that we serve, because we truly place our customer well-being as our very, very center of our core value, because these are the people who supported you, these are the people who gave you the opportunity. How would you not look after them? If you look at some of these big brands, right, amount of sugar in their product, the way they say they are good and things like that, but at the end of the day, if you truly go down to the label, you begin to realize that there is so much of crap inside there. that it is not, they are not, they have a difficulty to keep to the brand promise, because at the end of the day, it's still more making more money, right? So this is something that if at all, I think Farm Fresh brand have to be continued to be resonated, holding on to the brand value. I think that is very, very important. I mean, for children, I think all parents like you wanted to raise a family, then a God-loving family, then all your children and grandchildren and all this, right?
Generations to come.
I think that was what we were in Australia young place. That's what I share, right? They're teaching us about how intergeneration of how the legacy get passed down. I think that's even more important.
Amen to them.
And
Please just go out and buy Farm Fresh, right? It's just awesome. Make sure you stock it up in your future, right? Anyway, we just want to thank Mr. Loi for just nation building, right, in Malaysia, and contributing so much, especially to the local community, and taking dairy production and food production to a top-notch level in Malaysia. We just stand here as Malaysians. Thank you for sharing.